Did you ever believe that some friendships are simply too big to fail? That once two people reach a certain level of fame, loyalty, and shared history, nothing could possibly tear them apart? Because tonight, that belief is about to be tested. What if the friendship you watched unfold in public, the one framed as sisterhood, trust, and unwavering support, ended not with a quiet drift apart, but with whispered claims so explosive that silence became the only survival strategy? Before we continue, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for updates. And what if those claims are resurfacing now, years later, at a moment when reputations are already fragile, alliances are already broken, and the internet is hungry for blood? This is not a story about proven facts. This is a story about claims, reactions, power, silence, and the devastating cost of being caught inside a narrative you no longer control. And it begins with a friendship the world thought it understood. At one point, Jessica Mulroney and Meghan Markle were inseparable. Not Hollywood close, not red carpet friendly, but inner circle close. The kind of closeness that places you inside wedding photos, inside private rooms, inside moments that never reach the public eye. Jessica wasn't just a friend. She was the stylist, the confidant, the fixer, the woman trusted to help shape appearances, impressions, and access. When Meghan's life changed, Jessica was right there beside her, at least in public. And for a while, the world loved that story. Two women supporting each other, two careers rising in parallel, two lives intertwined at the exact moment global attention arrived. But then something happened. Not all at once. Not with a press release. Not with a public statement. Instead, it happened the way the most dangerous breakups often do. Quietly. Followers noticed first. A missing tag here. An unfollow there. A name no longer mentioned. A friendship erased not with anger, but with absence. And absence, as anyone who has lived through betrayal knows, is never empty. It's full of unanswered questions. Why would someone cut off a friend so completely that it feels intentional? Why no explanation? Why no soft landing narrative? Why did two women who once moved as a unit suddenly act as if the other never existed? That silence became the breeding ground for speculation. And speculation, when mixed with celebrity, turns into something far more volatile. Rumors began circulating in corners of the internet most people never visit: blogs, forums, anonymous threads, whispered DMs. At first, they were vague. Then they grew sharper. Then darker. Claims, allegations, stories framed as what really happened. Let's pause right here, because this matters. Nothing you're about to hear has been proven in a court of law. These are claims circulating publicly, amplified by online commentary, speculation, and reaction culture. And yet, the impact of those claims has been very real. Careers altered, relationships damaged, reputations questioned. And the most unsettling part? No one was rushing to deny everything. Why does that matter? Because in celebrity culture, silence is never neutral. Silence can mean legal advice. It can mean fear. It can mean exhaustion. It can mean strategy. Or it can mean that speaking would open a door that can never be closed again. So why speak now? Why let these stories resurface at this moment in time? That question alone has reignited public fascination. Because timing, in scandals like this, is everything. We are living in an era where public figures are no longer protected by polished PR alone. Old alliances crumble. Archived interviews resurface. Screenshots never die. And audiences are no longer passive. They investigate, theorize, and decide guilt or innocence long before facts are established. That's the environment this story re-enters. Not as a neat headline, but as a slow-burning controversy. Some say this is about jealousy. Others say it's about power imbalance. Others still insist it's about personal boundaries crossed in ways that can't be undone. And then there are the most explosive claims of all. The ones that suggest a betrayal so personal, so intimate, that even discussing it publicly feels dangerous. Why would anyone believe such claims? Because when a friendship collapses without explanation, people fill the silence with stories. And when the people involved are famous, those stories take on a life of their own. Ask yourself this. If nothing truly happened, why did everything disappear? Why didn't we see a polite distancing? A mutual statement? A carefully worded, "we're on different paths" explanation? Instead, what we saw looked like erasure. and erasure suggests pain. As the whispers grew louder, fans split into camps. Some dismissed everything as fiction designed to attack a powerful woman. Others argued that too many signs pointed to a deeper truth. And still others said the real issue wasn't whether the claims were true, but why the fallout was so extreme. What could destroy trust that completely? What could make silence feel safer than speaking? And why does the internet keep returning to this story, even years later? Because at its core, this isn't just about celebrities. It's about friendship under pressure. It's about what happens when one person's rise changes the balance between two equals. It's about the moment loyalty meets ambition and loses. As these claims circulated, something else became clear. No matter where you stood, no matter what you believed, the damage had already been done. Jessica Mulroney's name became inseparable from controversy. Meghan Markle's name became further entangled in narratives of conflict, division, and distrust. And the truth, whatever it may be, became harder to separate from the noise with every passing day. Here's the uncomfortable reality. In today's culture, you don't need proof to lose control of your story. You just need momentum. And momentum is exactly what this story has regained. Which brings us back to the most important question of all. What actually broke this friendship? Was it gradual resentment? A single incident? A misunderstanding amplified by fame? Or something far more personal that neither side wants to revisit publicly? Because before the claims, before the rumors, before the silence, there was a friendship that looked unbreakable. And to understand how it fell apart, we need to go back to the beginning. Back before the titles, before the scandals, before the whispers. Back to the moment two women crossed paths, unaware that their connection would one day become one of the most dissected, speculated about friendships in modern celebrity culture. Some friendships are like fairy tales. They sparkle under public scrutiny, seem flawless, and make the world stop and take notice. But as any fairy tale will tell you, appearances can be deceiving. And when it comes to the friendship between Jessica Mulroney and Meghan Markle, that sparkle hid a complexity few could see. From the outside, their relationship was enviable. Jessica, a high-profile Canadian stylist and socialite, was someone who moved in influential circles, had access to power and media, and carried an aura of authority. Meghan, before her royal chapter, was Hollywood-adjacent, ambitious, and meticulously careful about her public image. Together, they created a bond that seemed both natural and magnetic. They appeared on social media, at events, in candid photographs, and their friendship became aspirational. Fans marveled at how two women, so seemingly successful in their own rights, could support one another so publicly. Jessica styled Meghan. She advised her. She was there at weddings, private parties, and intimate celebrations. When Meghan began dating Prince Harry, Jessica was there too, appearing in pictures, sending subtle signals of loyalty and inclusion. Their friendship had a rare quality. It was visible yet intimate, public yet personal. But as is often the case, the story behind the smiles was more complicated. Close relationships are delicate, and when fame, ambition, and pressure enter the equation, even the strongest bonds can fray. Observers began noticing subtle shifts long before any public confirmation. A comment here that seemed sharp, a social media post omitted there, a quiet distancing that grew louder with time. At first, it was easy to dismiss these as normal fluctuations in friendship. Everyone has conflicts. Everyone experiences tension. But in the case of Mulroney and Markle, the tension was unusual because of the scale of the bond that existed. To understand the friendship's depth, we need to look at the roles each woman played. Jessica was more than a friend. She was a mentor figure, someone who had established herself in Canadian social life and media, who knew how to navigate influential networks. Meghan, ambitious yet cautious, leaned on Jessica for guidance and support. Their dynamic was one of mutual benefit, yes, but also one where boundaries could blur. Mentorship and friendship, when combined with access to the public spotlight, often carry hidden pressures, expectations, obligations, subtle competitions, and unspoken resentments. Friends on the outside may have envied their closeness, but insiders could sense early signs of strain. Was it a clash of personalities? Was it jealousy? Was it a result of fame intensifying ordinary insecurities? Some suggest it was all of these things. A perfect storm that would eventually push the friendship to its breaking point. It's important to remember that in high-profile friendships, every action is amplified. Every omission or slight becomes significant. A text not returned, a social media tag forgotten, an invitation unextended. And in the case of Jessica and Meghan, observers began to note these fissures. Yet despite the early signs, there were moments of extraordinary loyalty. Jessica appeared publicly by Meghan's side at key moments. She defended her in social media posts, styled her for appearances, and celebrated her milestones. Meghan, in return, was generous in sharing glimpses of their bond, subtle but unmistakable affirmations of friendship. It was a two-way street, and for years, the public narrative was overwhelmingly positive. But then the cracks widened. And when cracks become too large, they demand attention. Sometimes a single incident can become a tipping point. Other times, it's a slow accumulation of stress, resentment, and unmet expectations. In this case, insiders hint at a mix of both. Observers later noted a growing distance that could not be easily explained by busy schedules or natural life changes. Something had shifted. Public perception often lags behind reality. Fans continued to celebrate the friendship, unaware of the tensions simmering behind closed doors. And therein lies one of the most compelling parts of this story, the dissonance between appearance and reality. A friendship can look untouchable, yet be quietly unraveling. A smile can hide doubt. A hug can mask irritation. And as the world applauded, the private world inside this friendship was quietly fracturing. By the time the first social media omissions became obvious, posts disappearing, interactions ceasing, the foundation had already begun to erode. For many, it was a shock. How could such a bond, so public and seemingly unbreakable, falter without explanation? The absence of explanation only fueled speculation. Silence, after all, is an invitation. When two high-profile figures go quiet, the world fills in the gaps. Rumors flourish. Narratives emerge. And this is precisely what happened here. So why did the friendship falter? Some say it was a clash of personalities intensified by fame. Others point to envy, ambition, and unspoken expectations. There are whispers about loyalty, boundaries crossed, and the complex power dynamics inherent in any friendship where one person holds more social capital. And yet, without definitive confirmation, all we have are fragments, social media patterns, third-party accounts, and carefully worded statements. The deeper truth, perhaps, is this: friendships, especially high-profile ones, are rarely simple. They are built on trust, communication, and shared experiences. They are vulnerable to misinterpretation, misunderstanding, and outside pressure. And when those elements fail, even the strongest-looking friendships can collapse almost overnight. And that's where the story gets darker. Because when public figures withdraw from each other so completely, when silence replaces communication, it is not just a personal rupture. It becomes a public spectacle. The audience, starved for answers, begins to speculate. What caused the rift? Was it betrayal? Miscommunication? Something else entirely? And as speculation grows, so does the momentum of the story. What was private becomes public. What was personal becomes a narrative everyone feels entitled to judge. And in the case of Jessica Mulroney and Meghan Markle, that narrative quickly became both explosive and complicated. Because in friendships like these, the public is not a passive observer. They are participants. Every rumor, every unverified claim, every cryptic social media post becomes a piece of the puzzle. And when the puzzle is incomplete, when the full truth is inaccessible, it becomes infinitely more tantalizing. The ultimate question, of course, is simple yet unanswerable at this point. How did two women who seemed so inseparable reach a point where they could no longer even acknowledge each other publicly? Was it a single, defining moment? Or the slow accumulation of tension, miscommunication, and unmet expectations? By the end of this chapter, one thing is clear. The friendship that looked untouchable was anything but. And the unraveling, as subtle as it was at first, would soon capture the attention of a world ready to speculate, judge, and draw conclusions. But the most critical part of this story is yet to come, because the first signs of fracture, while subtle, were just the beginning. Imagine being part of a world where access is everything. where invitations aren't just to parties, but to power, where knowing the right people, understanding the subtle codes of loyalty, and maintaining influence can define your personal and professional life. This is the world Jessica Mulroney moved in, and it's the world Meghan Markle entered when she became her friend. But being inside the inner circle is not a guarantee of safety. It comes with rules, pressures, and, sometimes, unexpected betrayals. From the beginning, Jessica's circle was carefully cultivated. She was a stylist, yes, but also a socialite with connections that spanned celebrities, media figures, and influential families in Canada and beyond. Her friendship with Meghan, at first, appeared natural, a merging of shared interests, ambition, and public visibility. But anyone who has ever been in an inner circle knows that such relationships are rarely equal. Some hold more influence, some dictate the rules, and some are there to benefit from association. Jessica's role in Meghan's life extended far beyond friendship. She offered advice, helped with public appearances, and shared strategic insight about navigating fame. She was someone Meghan could rely on, or so it seemed. But inside this circle, lines between personal support and strategic guidance often blur. Loyalty isn't measured only in private kindness. It's measured in alignment, in unspoken agreements, in understanding how to maintain appearances when the world is watching.